Well, I will tell you
Amazing
this,
they wanted to
when is the midterm?
$140 for a damn-
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks?
If you haven't started on those multiple choice questions yet, you're in
I'm not all
over your
over
head. You are over your head right now. Because there's 200 of them, give or take, and you've got to find all the answers, and then you've got to be ready to explain any of them I ask you to.
I'll be honest, I'm on like 80, 90. I'm not.
Well, this is management, right?
Uh,
What's the best way to approach that task?
itemize it, set up a schedule. And
Get
itemize
4 more people with you. Divide the questions up and teach each other.
Join our group.
Yeah. We'll need someone.
Cool.
All right.
All right, let us begin more formally. Tonight is still Wednesday, right? It would be June the 12th,
I sure hope so.
2013, and this is Management 3025. I say that to myself so I know what I'm doing on the video, and also to remind me where I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. I had a finance class last night. I have a macroeconomics exam tomorrow night, and I'm an old man and I get easily confused, so if I wander off, you gotta let me know. Anything on your mind? Anything you want to talk about? So we were just discussing the fact that a couple of folks found textbooks for the course on half.com, etc. Where'd you find the PDF file? Okay, you found the PDF.
It was a friend of mine who
Okay.
told me about it.
No problem. That computer and that internet are magical things we need to take advantage of. And as I was saying a minute ago, if you've not begun on the multiple choice questions getting ready for the midterm, as well as the study questions on the Caproni text, you are way behind the power curve.
Is the
Because-
midterm in this room, or?
The midterm is in this room. It starts at 6 p.m., I believe. But I'll be here by 5:30 anyway. And it will take you an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. You will have about 40 multiple choice questions. I will pick probably between 3 and 6 or 8 of them, and I'll say, explain these to me. You will have some questions out of the Caproni text. There are study questions for that book on Canvas as it is. And so that will be a fairly complete exam. There is a topic I'm going to cover tonight. It's a very small one, but I'm going to ask you to be responsible for that on the midterm too. And so let me go ahead and start that, unless anybody else, administrative issues, other concerns. Come in. Anything else? Okay. I'll get to what I'm going to go to. I've been grading your SWOT analyses. Some of you have grades back. I still have about 10 or 12 of them to do. I wanted to give you a little bit of feedback on that and basically these competencies to begin with. First off, at this point in this course, if you're still misspelling stuff and still using poor grammar, I'm going to start ripping you a new one. Okay? Because if you send that stuff to me as your manager, I'm not going to take my time to go through and correct it. I'm not going to take the time to have to send it back to you 4 times to correct it. I want the damn thing right the first time. Okay? And I'm saying this to you here, and I appreciate your patience, but it's for the benefit of everybody, as they will see on the video. So I'm getting a little bit up to here, seeing the same errors again and again and again. So watch your writing. If you have to go to the writing lab, do so. If your mom's an English teacher, get her to proof it for you. The competencies. The competencies to me are there 30 points apiece rather than 20 for the writing assignments. And I would expect that you're going to spend 3 to 6 hours on a competency. It's obvious to me that a few people anyway spent about 30 minutes working on that SWOT analysis. They took the little boxes and they put 3 or 4 sentences in each box. Then they tried to put strengths and opportunities together, and they told me the same thing again, repeated themselves without drawing any conclusions from it. What the SWOT analysis is supposed to do. You got one matrix that is SWOT, right? One of these pens probably works. How about that? That's close enough. You've got strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, or something like that. And so you list those. And those should be rather extensive. I don't care how old you are. What have you done good in life? Where did you excel? What are your strengths? I started cutting yards when I was 13. I ran a newspaper route when I was 14. What are my strengths from doing that? Right? I showed initiative. I'm a self-starter. I hired 10-year-old kids to cut the yards for me as subcontractors, so I know how to delegate, go back and supervise and check and be sure they got it right. I know how to meet people who are total strangers, knock on their doors and collect their money. I have the people skills, and I don't have the timidity that hinders me from being able to do. Those are from just being a kid. You've probably got the same kind of experiences. Start thinking through those and count them. This should be pretty damn big. Even if you tell me, well, I've never had a job. Well, what else have you been doing? Okay, I started a band when I was 15. We had to go around and talk to club owners and negotiate playing the gigs and how much we were going to get, on and on and on. What else have you done? The other thing, weaknesses, is internal, right? Your personal internal weaknesses. Now, this may be a family weakness. We're really tight on money. Okay. It may be a personal weakness. I'm overweight, or I'm a slow reader, or, you know, I don't write very well. Fine. Enumerate them. Lay them out there. This isn't for me. This is for you. But think about it when you put those two together. And you combine those down in the second matrix, which is your strategy matrix. When I combine strengths and weaknesses, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to say, given my weakness and my strength, what am I going to do to overcome that weakness? And that's the focus of the whole SWOT analysis. What are you going to do? This is what you're facing. This is, what are you going to do about it? Instead, what I got from a lot of people was a recitation of this again. Here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses, and now I'll list them both together. What the hell? That's no good. What are you going to do about it? Give me a plan. And so out of this, I would think you would have 3 or 4 or more. Here's things I intend to do over the next 6 months, a year, 5 years. Now that becomes part of your professional development plan. A lot of it is improving your strengths, broadening them, deepening them, acquiring new ones, and compensating, overcoming, or avoiding those weaknesses. Same thing. Now this is all external down here, right? This was internal. About you, this is external. What are the opportunities facing you? And then when you combine strengths and opportunities, you say, how am I going to use these strengths to take advantage of these opportunities? Well, you better have 3 or 4 at least good ideas on what are you going to do. Okay? Now I've sent several of these back, and I said resubmit. And I've tried to give some feedback. But this video is going to be part of it too. If I send it back to you and I say resubmit it, I'm going to grade it again. I'm not going to count it as late. But I want to see people doing a good job. I don't think you do this sort of analysis in less than 5 or 6 hours. And that may mean sitting down with it 2 or 3 or 4 times and massaging it around. Maybe bouncing it back and forth with your whoever, best friend, wife, dog. You know, my dog's pretty smart. Okay? So that's sort of feedback on this competency, but every competency is designed so that if you don't spend a few hours on it and you hand me something that's really lightweight, well, the warning's out right now. Don't take up my time with crap. Show me quality work or don't show me anything at all, okay? Cool. What else? A couple of specific issues people have raised, and I think they're worth talking about. I've had several people say, one of my weaknesses is time management. I'm a procrastinator. I wait till the last minute to do things. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start with a guy named Stephen Covey. He's got 2 books I think you ought to have on your bookshelf or wherever you keep your reading material, on your phone or on your Kindle or whatever. He's got many books. These are his first 2. These are his best 2. I don't particularly use much of his later writings, but his first book was called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read that, you should. You should have it available to you at your fingertips. And personally, I think you should be opening it up once a day and picking, just randomly open it up and read 2 or 3 pages a day. That's the kind of rejuvenating motivation. That's the kind of return to the proper perspective you and I need every day of our life. You ever heard the saying, when you're up to your ass in alligators, sometimes you forget the reason you're here is to drain the swamp? What does that mean? Huh? It means sometimes the everyday details and stuff going on in your life get you so distracted you forget where you're going and how you're going to do it. So don't let the alligators get you. And one of the ways you do that is you find sources of inspiration, motivation, education, and you return to those on a daily basis. You ever heard, what's the guy's name? Oh, went out of my mind. The Giant Within or something. Tony, motivational speaker. Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins. If you've never heard of Tony Robbins, for some folks he is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I've been listening to Tony Robbins for over 20 years. I know some of his stuff is stuff he got other places that I've run across. That doesn't make it any less valuable. He's kind of the motivational type that really gets you pumped up and ready to go. If that's what you need in your life, if you feel like sometimes you're a little stagnant, you're a little flat, you're not terribly energetic, find a source of motivation. For some people it's spiritual. For some people it's meditation. But some of the old Tony Robbins, here's the keyword, tapes, that's how old that is, right? Some of the Tony Robbins material is absolutely excellent, worth your time. The other book by Covey, and the one I want to talk about here in a moment, is called First Things What? First. And this is the book that gives you some perspective on time management. Okay? And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. What I would like you to know before the exam is I would like you to know what those 7 habits are. I'll give you a general indicator. The first habit, I don't know if I remember them in order, is be proactive. What does it mean to be proactive?
Start before needed.
Start before needed. Very well said. What's the opposite of proactive? Reactive. Do it after it's already happened.
Yep.
I think of it in terms of you go do the world or the world's going to do you. Okay? If you sit there and wait for things to happen, if you don't have a direction, a focus, and the energy behind it, the world will be glad to take care of you. Not to your advantage. Be proactive. Now, if I picked that up randomly once every week or so and I saw that phrase, be proactive, I would be thinking, yeah, what kind of things do I need to go ahead and get moving on instead of procrastinating? Instead of thinking about it and talking about it, right? Instead of sitting on the couch saying, I'll get to that one day. Here's my scheduled things I'm going to do. Well, I didn't get to all of those today. Well, Strickland, why not? Be proactive. Another, the 7 habits, first things first. That's one of the habits. It's all about how do you manage your time. So I'm going to rely on you to know the 7 habits before the exam. I'll probably go through them the next time we're here in class, but of course that'll be after the exam, right? So it'll be too late to help you. It'll be nice to go over. I'm going to do the first things first here. Little talk. This is from Stephen Covey. Generally in life, when we look at the things we do or are thinking about doing, we can categorize them as 2 types. We have things that are important and things that are urgent. So this would be yes, they're urgent, and yes, they're important, or no, they're not urgent, or no, they're not important. Okay? And from that, we get the same kind of matrix you used in the SWOT analysis, a 4-quadrant matrix. Let's see what they look like. Quadrant 1, yes, it's important, and yes, it's urgent. Okay? Can you give me an example of something like that? Something that's important and urgent.
Changing your car tire?
Say again?
Changing your tire in your car?
Changing a flat tire. It's especially urgent if you're late for work.
Yes.
Okay. Any other examples? Important and urgent. Yes?
I have new employees coming in on Friday, so I want to make sure that their employment packages are ready to go by the time they come in Friday morning, so that I'm not scrambling to make sure that I've got all the paperwork done.
Okay.
And I can,
So new employees coming in on Friday. Today's Wednesday. When does that become urgent?
today, because I just found out.
I would say that if you don't do anything at all on it until tomorrow evening, by that time for sure, it'll be urgent, right?
Right, it'll be on fire by Friday morning.
There you go. Which kind of provokes my memory. My example of important and urgent. Many years ago, when my children were very young, my daughter was about 4, I guess, 3 or 4. I was in the back of the house working with my son in his bedroom, building a little race car track. And my daughter came back, wandering back in the house, and said, "Daddy?" And I was busy, I wasn't paying attention to her, and she said, "Daddy!" And I looked around and I said, "Just a minute, baby, I'll be right with you." And she yelled at me, "Daddy!" I said, "What?" She said, "The kitchen's on fire." That's urgent and important. My wife had left a pot of grease on there to heat it up and just, liquefy it, and forgotten it. And it had ignited, and when I came into the kitchen, the flames coming up off the oven were this high. Damn near burned the kitchen down.
It's hard to put out.
Yeah. So our word for this is called crisis. Something that's important and urgent becomes a crisis. Okay? Let's go on. Important? No. Urgent? Yes. Any ideas? It may not be important, but it's got to be taken care of right now.
It's urgent because it required action right then.
Yeah, but it's not terribly important.
Is the kitchen burning down?
No, kitchen was pretty important.
Yeah,
I'm
The
looking for something
headline of
that's
the
not
Sun
important.
tomorrow?
Say again.
The headlines of the Gainesville Sun tomorrow?
They may be important. They're not urgent yet. I'm thinking of little minor things.
Paying your bill?
Paying your bills. Assuming it's, you pay them on schedule. They could become a crisis, right? If you're out of money or you're way late, or for some reason the damn lights won't go on, I'm just thinking small stuff. You're working at your desk and a coworker stops by and starts talking to you. You have to give them their attention, but it's probably not going to be terribly important. Interruptions, okay? I don't know what else you might want to put up there, but interruptions is a good context for that. It's not very important, but you got to deal with it right now. Okay, let's go down here. It's yes important, but it's not urgent. What would that be? Dang important, very important, but it's not got to be done instantly.
Change your clothes over in the washer?
Yeah, unless they've been in there for 3 or 4 days, in which case I think it's kind of urgent you rewash them, but I'm thinking bills kind of fit here to me. Bills to me are important, but unless they're due immediately, it's not urgent. Okay? What else?
Changing oil in your car.
Change oil in your car, as long as it hadn't been in there for the last 30,000 miles.
Yeah.
How about working on a demonstrated competency for this course? Important? I think so. Urgent? Is it urgent?
Depends on what day it is. And what
It
the due date
depends
is.
on what day it is. If you recognize it, plan for it, and started early, it's not urgent.
Not urgent.
Okay? So, this is called planning. This is the most important quadrant. But let's look at the last one just in case. It's not important and it's not urgent. What would that be?
Getting on Facebook.
Getting on Facebook. That's the best one I think I've ever heard. And I've been doing this since before Facebook came out. That is not important. It is not urgent. Okay? The one I used to use, sitting on the couch watching TV. Sitting in front of the game box, Xbox, playing away. Okay? This is a total waste of your life. Okay so far? So we've got 4 quadrants identified. What happens if you spend a lot of time down here in this quadrant? You need to rehearse a couple of lines. You ready? Would you like fries with that? Okay? Yeah. Because you ain't going nowhere. You better learn how much minimum wage is and how to live on it. Because that's probably all you're ever going to make. And all your dreams and fantasies sitting on the couch will never come true. What's going on up here? Waste of time. A waste of time, okay? It's not important, And so we have to cut down on those interruptions. How do you cut down from your coworkers looking down on you in your office or at your desk and interrupting you all the time? How could you stop
Shutting
that?
the door.
Shut the door?
I'm in a
Awesome.
cubicle
Feed into it?
farm.
Say again?
I'm in a cubicle farm, there's no doors.
There's no doors, okay.
Don't
Any other
feed into
ideas?
it, though. If they're talking to you, just acknowledge them, and then I'll see you at lunch. I really gotta get back to this.
Okay, you're being very polite and kind, and that's a wonderful way. You don't want to disrupt
Yeah.
any feelings if you possibly can.
We set some kind of, I'm sorry.
This is something I actually see every day, and at first I will just allow everyone to just ask me questions, but then I also start learning that they will create questions if they don't have one. So I suggested them, I just make sure that every single one of my employees and other people, they have my cards, and if they have a lot of questions, they can just email me the questions, and then, or maybe we can just make an appointment,
Okay.
or create office hours and
Okay,
just have them.
another idea?
Along the same, I was gonna say, set some type of formal precedent with your fellow employees or peers, so that if you continue to get bothered, you can be very nice and cordial, and then if it gets to be a problem, and kind of, like I said, set an example, let them know, hey, I have a lot of work to do right now, could this wait till later? If this is not something urgent, could you email me, something like kind of what you said?
Just brought something to mind. Are you ever troubled by strangers ringing your doorbell, trying to sell you something, trying to raise money, trying to...
Every time.
Have you figured out anything? That's right over here. Okay. Have you figured out what to do about that?
Well, you got a couple options, but
No upload. It's
Return the favor to them.
Anybody
Send
here
them.
think about putting a sign right next to your doorbell?
It doesn't work.
Mine does. Mine says, no solicitors, politics, sales, religion, absolutely none whatsoever.
only have to honor that.
And since I've put that up there, one person has rung the bell. And when I opened the door, he started his spiel, and I said, "Did you read the sign?" And he went, "Oh, I'm sorry," and backed off. And I have not been troubled again. If you're sitting in a cubicle, you can put a sign on the outside of your cubicle on a 3x5 card that says, "Do not interrupt." Or you can say, "Look, I got a baseball cap here. If you see me in my baseball cap while I'm working, it means I'm really working on something important. Please don't bother me." A million ways to cut down this stuff, and the more of this you can eliminate from your life, less time you're going to waste. That's time management. It's identifying the things that are taken away from your time. Now, what about crisis? How do you avoid the crisis?
You move down.
Perfect. You live your life down here.
Be proactive.
You be proactive and you anticipate. That whole SWOT analysis was about planning. What does planning mean? It means anticipating the future. Anticipating the things you want to happen, but also anticipating the things that might go wrong. And being prepared for them and either precluding them, going around them before they happen. If you do that, you eliminate 90% of the crises in your life. Now, yes, there are unanticipated crises that will occur, always. But if you think through the possibilities, it's something we call contingency planning. What are you going to do if such and such happens? Okay? What would we do in this classroom right now if we heard gunshots outside? What?
Make a new door.
I will call the police and possibly try to, like, I don't know, maybe lock myself somewhere or just get on my bike and go. I don't know.
If they're
When you-
shooting just
when you're
outside the
outside.
door.
If they're shooting just outside the door, I'm gonna make sure I don't have a field of vision through the
You got a
window.
door here,
Yeah,
and you got a door here.
I'm gonna make sure I don't.
I don't know if that one's locked, okay? We could find out, but it's got a bar. We could take belts,
We got
shoelaces,
some
whatever.
Pretty good sized vigils in here.
We got a
Make
couple,
sure the doors
we
don't
got some
open.
pretty good size. We could try to secure the doors, we could barricade them with the desks, and then we could say, here's our other part. If somebody does come in with a gun, everybody around here has something to throw. And just start throwing stuff at him, and you guys tackle him.
Very
The
true.
rest of them will stand up and throw stuff
I'm
like
volunteering for that.
It's all right.
Okay. But
If he doesn't
contingency
get me on the
planning.
first shot, he's not gonna be very lucky.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Anticipating what can go wrong. If you do that, you eliminate 90% of the time you would otherwise spend in this block. The more time you spend down here, the more successful you become. That's time management. That's Covey's view of time management. I personally think it's excellent. It doesn't cover everything, okay? What do you do about procrastination?
Stop it.
How? How do you stop it?
Plan.
Plan, but it takes more than just a plan.
Put reminders in your calendar.
Set alarms on your smartphone or whatever. What else?
Self-control.
How do you practice, learn, implement self-control?
Maybe look at kind of some
Turn
of
off your
these
power.
books or readings that you suggested. They seem to have good fundamentals and good ideas.
Go back to the same stuff. Keep reading and informing and motivating yourself. Okay? Hang around with people who are motivated. You know, there's only two things in your life you really control. You control the information that goes into your brain, and you control the people that you spend your time with. And those are the two things that will change your life for better or for worse. Did you know that? You will become like the people you spend time with and like the things you put your mind on. And you can control both of those. Now there's self-discipline. Associate with people who have high aspirations, high standards, high ethics, and focus your mind on motivating and educational materials. Spend your time in this quadrant. You keep doing that long enough, you'll be okay. And if you look at everybody else who is not doing very well in life, you will find they violate those basic rules. Okay? So, that was time management, first things first. Some people in their writings were frequently commenting, I'm a procrastinator, I'm not very good at managing my time. Time, how many hours are there in a week? Uh-oh, math question.
Working hours or total hours?
Total hours in the week. Without a calculator. How many?
168.
168. 7 times 24, even with the new math.
Did you learn the new math?
I'm sorry, what's this new?
I tried to, I just couldn't get it.
Excuse me?
In 1961, in algebra, they introduced new math. It's been a mess ever since. I don't know what new math means anymore. I still know how to invert and multiply with fractions. That works, you know. Anyway, what's a budget?
Planning your resources?
It's saying, how much do I have and how am I going to use it? You need to budget your time.
Acknowledging what you have.
Huh?
It's acknowledging what you have.
Acknowledging.
And
You
how
have,
you
think
say
of this
savings.
phrase. How did you spend your weekend? Listen to that. How did you spend your weekend? What's the most important word in that sentence?
Spin.
Spend. Why? Why is that the most important word?
It's gone.
Does it cost something?
You cannot save time. You can't put it in the bank and go back and get it. You will spend every hour of your life. You will spend it. You're in control of it. And if you're not spending it wisely, there's nobody else to blame. So the question is, how did you spend your time? If you budget your time, you say, I'm going to spend this much time on this, and this on this, and this on this, great. I used to teach a sales course. And one of the things I made students do was keep a time diary for a week in 30-minute increments. I want to know what you're doing. And if you spend the next 3 hours studying, okay, from 7 to 10, study, fine. From 10 to 12 or 11, what did you do? And I made every student account for 168 hours a week. And I said, you can put it into 5 categories. See if I can remember them. Studying in school, work, sleep, household chores, that is maintaining your life, shopping, cleaning, whatever. And anything other than those 4 goes into category 5 called squandered time. Squandered. What does squandered mean?
Why can't be miscellaneous?
No, miscellaneous is a cop-out. Squandered means you didn't use it productively.
What did food count as?
Huh?
Eating.
That's household maintenance.
Oh.
Okay?
Spent a lot of time.
And I got a lot of static from students. They say, I wasn't squandering my time. I was kind of, resting and relaxing and getting charged up. Yeah? How many hours did you do that? About 4. Did you need 4? And I challenged every hour they spent that didn't go into the first 4 categories. Mostly trying to provoke them. And you know what I found when you went to the squandered category? How many hours per week do you think the average student put into that category? 45. 45 hours a
I was
week.
close.
Now, I don't mean that you can't take those 45 hours and use them to restore yourself, to motivate yourself, to go to church and these kind of things, or whatever. But 45 hours, how much of it did you truly waste? Hold the mirror up and look at yourself and be honest, because I don't care. Right? So, Time management, time has to be budgeted just like finances. I had a few people talk about, one of my threats out there is money's pretty tight. I might have to drop out of school, or I might have to take a second job. How do you manage money? The same way. You set up a budget. How much is coming in and where's it coming from and when is it going to get here? How much of it's got to be spent when? How much is left over? And you run that through for the whole week. You should have done that in accounting. You certainly will do that in finance. It's nothing but common sense. But if you don't know how much time or how much money you got and where it's going, you're not controlling it. It's controlling you. You're rotating right over into the crisis. Oh my God, electric bill's due and I got no money. Well, why? You just discovered that in this breath? If you'd have budgeted this out, you'd known it was coming a week ago. You could have panicked then. If you're not budgeting those precious resources, you're not controlling them.
I do a portion, I still spend too much.
All right.
Sometimes it gets tight.
The other,
I got too much month and not enough money.
too much month and not enough money.
I'm telling you.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The other issue, several people raise, a weakness. Says, I'm not very good with confrontation. I'm not very good with confrontation. What are the two ways to be very poor at confrontation?
Be a yes man.
Huh?
Be a yes person.
That's right.
Avoid-
Roll
avoid
over.
avoiding it.
Yes, and avoid it and put it off. Or
Being the confrontation, being the overheated.
being extremely angry and intending to dominate, kill, put them out of the misery and get them out of your life. Okay? And either one of those reactions as a manager will doom you. You will destroy the confidence of your people if you're always having headbutting and just burying them. And if you don't know how to confront people constructively and so you avoid confrontation, you'll have people doing things wrong, not even knowing it, until things get way out of hand.
And that's your fault.
And that's your fault, yeah. If you ever give an evaluation to one of your subordinates, and it comes as a surprise, the score or evaluation that you gave, shame on you. Because if you haven't been advising them all the way along, then that is your deficiency, not theirs. So,
You gotta give a person
say again?
opportunity to change.
Yeah.
To improve.
Yeah, if you want somebody to change, you've got to sit down and talk with them. And it doesn't mean you have to sit down and berate them, thank you. Yeah.
But just-
What's the first key to confrontation? What's the first key? No emotions allowed.
No.
Do not communicate with people when you are emotional, particularly when you're angry. And what happens to people who avoid confrontation? They avoid it until when?
It explodes inside them.
They finally just go insane, they get crazy. And then your mouth starts running and you can't control it.
My face will tell people. I
Okay.
can't control no emotions.
Mhm. My
head will turn red or
Okay.
my
but-
eyes
but-
beam at you.
But that's different than saying something and getting in my face, Personally, when I get very, very angry, I get very quiet and I speak slowly. And the people that work with me and my kids as they were growing up learned to recognize that. And that's what I got from my father. My father never raised his voice to me. He never struck me. All he would do is look at me and say, Roger. That one word and that tone of voice. He had my full and complete attention.
God in you.
Yeah, and not because I was afraid he was going to strike me, but because I didn't want to disappoint him.
Exactly.
Now, to me, that's leadership.
Oh, strike.
Are there some people that don't respond very well? Are there some people that even though you try to counsel them, they don't change their behavior?
Yes.
Then you have got to learn to escalate up in terms of how you're talking to them and what you're saying, but again, without emotion. You have worked here for the last 6 weeks. And over the last 6 weeks, you've come in late 5 times. I have spoken to you about that 3 times. I am not going to speak to you about it again. The next time you're late, I'm simply going to come and tell you to give me your keys to your desk, give me your parking pass, and leave this office and never come back. Do you understand what I have said? Was I emotional?
No, but the message was clear.
I'm saying.
Super.
Yeah. And sometimes we need to practice that kind of stuff. And you gotta learn to do it at escalating levels, you know? First, you can be kind of, you know, you're late today, don't let that be a habit, okay? Hey, this is the second time you're late. Everybody around here's watching you. They know what's going on, okay? Don't put yourself in that position. Look, today's the third time you're late. Don't you think that's a little ridiculous? No, I don't really care what your excuses are. Nobody here cares about your excuses, okay? You don't have to be emotional. Maybe you do need to carry a gun, I don't know, but yeah. Okay? How do you handle confrontation? Without emotion? Quietly, preferably, logically, calmly, with escalating intensity, but without losing your control. Okay, what else? Those are the things I wanted to make sure I touched on tonight. What else is going on with you? How's your other courses going?
Oh, well.
Just peachy.
Say again, just peachy? That's a scary phrase.
This is my only class.
Good. Anybody here taking 4 courses? I bet you don't have any free time.
No, I don't.
She has no life.
And a
whatsoever.
21-year-old baby at home.
Oh, absolutely. No.
Oh, goodness.
It's like 3 full-time jobs right there.
I think you're going to spend some time up in that quadrant with crisis.
Uh-huh.
You color your hair?
I did.
'Cause I got a lot of gray hair. I have a 17-year-old.
Trust me, I did.
Really urge you strongly, everybody, to cooperate together in groups and work on those questions and getting ready for that exam. To bounce ideas back and forth on the competencies, maybe to review one another's work, to proofread for one another. One idea on proofreading. Read backwards. Read your sentence backwards, word by word. When you see a word that's not in context, you'll spot your misspellings and your typos. But when you're reading a sentence and you already kind of anticipate what it's going to say, you tend to overlook stuff. It's easy to do. All of us do it. What else? Anybody? Well, has anybody here even looked at the Caproni text?
Yeah.
What'd you find?
Very different.
How's it different?
It's got a more like a conversational tone to it, a more expressive.
I think it's an easy read.
It's an easy read?
It's not a textbook, it's a
It is not.
resource.
It is a good resource. It is a very self-reflective book.
Right.
It makes you, to me, the mark of a good book is you pick it up, you can't read it more than 3 minutes before you set it down and go, damn, I didn't think about that. Wow. Then you pick it up again and you go another 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs or a couple of pages and you go, damn, that's pretty interesting. That's a great book. I think Caproni's a great book in that way. I think Caproni is another book, along with Covey's 2 books, should be on your bookshelf for the rest of your professional career. Sit down, read it periodically, and self-reflect on what it means to you now. Okay? And the study questions for Caproni, you may want to talk with some classmates about a couple of those. The answers aren't always real clear. All right, what else?
For the assignment that's due on the 24th, are we uploading the video to you, or how are we doing that?
The video due on the 24th. What I would prefer from you, the easy way for me, is that you create your own YouTube channel, which takes a few clicks of a button. Upload your video to the YouTube. When you have the settings, mark it, oh, I forgot the term now. Not private and not public. There's another one in there.
Invite only.
It means invite only. It means that if you don't have the URL, you can't see it.
Say a direct link.
Yeah, and so what I want you to do is mark your video that way and send me the URL. And that way I can see it, you can see it, nobody else can see it without we share that URL. I'll post directions on the announcements about that to be clear. The alternative is to make your video and put it on a thumb drive or a CD, a DVD, and get it to me. Okay?
Okay. And then also, like, me, I'm more of a person that I follow directions.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, I know it's like a management class or whatever, so I know, like, even with the SWOT analysis, like, you say you wanted to kind of see where our creativity comes from or whatever, so with the video, you got like 3 different questions on there. So you don't want us to talk about, I'm just trying to see how I'm gonna address the video. Cause you talked about like, what was your best boss or your worst boss or something like that. And it was like 2 other questions, so you don't want us to talk about ourselves?
Oh, yeah. Part of what I want on the video, and I don't recall the directions I wrote, I may need to revisit them. I'd like you to sit down on the video and say, hi, my name's Roger Strickland. I'm a student in the SOM program at Santa Fe College. My intended track is in management. I anticipate graduation in approximately 2 years. You don't need to go into a lot of everything else you've told me in your bio sketch, but a little bit about my intention when I finish this degree is I hope to begin a career in the field of such and such, and I anticipate doing that with a couple of internships along the way and trying to build and nurture a network that will help me find opportunities.
But you definitely want us to put those 3 questions.
Yeah, and then
that you talked
keep
about.
going. You say, now, with regard to this video, I've been asked to answer 3 questions. The first question is, describe the worst boss you've ever worked for. I had to give that quite a bit of thought because I worked for some real trolls. Actually, I got 3 of them kind of heads up, run up, and so close together. But the biggest jerk I ever, you see what I'm saying? What I want you to do is get comfortable talking to, and talk to the camera. Don't look up here, okay? That's very distracting when you're watching somebody speak. So if you're going to put notes on the wall so you don't forget what you're going to say, don't keep looking at the damn notes. Look at the notes and then talk to the camera. Look at the notes and then talk to the camera. Other thing, when you make a video like that, you cannot. It is not possible to speak too slowly.
The time will run out.
I ain't worried about time. If your video goes 15 minutes but it's high quality, that's fine. My point is this. Too many people, when they start doing something like that, they turn it on high speed and go, you're done in 3 minutes. And you say, oh my God. Well, slow down. Relax.
Did you put a specific for how long you want?
I think I said about 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for sort of professional appearance, preferably in a professional or sort of professional setting. That is, if you've got a living room, a library type room, a place you can go, and even some of the meeting rooms over in the library, while they're not all that professional, at least they're quiet. Okay, so there's no distracting, kids in the background crying, dog barking. Excuse me, I gotta fix the barbecue. No, that's not it.
Can we edit it?
Absolutely, you can edit it.
Like,
If you have editing software,
Can we have?
I was just thinking doing one part, stopping. Okay, I just hate videoing myself. I always had to do it in college education.
okay. What I'm hoping you will do in that case is you will edit out those
Yes.
parts. And so if it goes da 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 da, and then the video changes, and you're going and now da da, and there's a clear break, that's okay.
Okay.
Because we know with good editing software we can make that
I don't know
transition
if you
very
just
smooth.
wanted us to be able to do it straight through without having to stop or.
No,
Okay.
no. But I do want you to rehearse it enough. I want you to look at yourself and see what you look like and sound like. I think that's important. It's humbling, believe me.
I know when I said-
Yeah, I never knew how fat I really was until I watched myself.
You don't
on
know
video.
until you look at that video.
We can
Can it
edit
be
that too,
broken
though.
down into more than one video?
No, I just like a single video. I hope to encourage the use of students making videos throughout this program. In your other classes, I want to see if your instructors will encourage that. I would like to see, at this point right now, I'm planning to teach one of the final courses in this program called Business Policy. I would like students who are at the end of this program coming in and making videos that are suitable to send out with a resume. And that means pretty damn decent quality. So this is kind of a rehearsal for that. Okay? Thank you for raising that question. I forgot all about talking about the video. If you need a camera, I have a flip camera and a tripod. If we can set a schedule and you want to borrow it for a short period of time, and preferably you and 3 or 4 others who are working together, I will make my flip camera available to you. No problem. As to editing software, I don't know what all's out there. I'm using a system called Camtasia. It cost me about $100. If you don't have access to that, then I would say look around and see what's out there. I think if you have access to a Mac, iMovie does that kind of editing.
Windows Movie
Windows Movie?
does that as well.
Windows Movie Maker, good. Good, so we have some versatility. I want to address one other point you raised. This is a management course. most of the time, at least in my experience in management and leadership, I never got really detailed directions.
And I totally get that.
I understand. I
But
want to make
that's
sure
coming
everybody else
from,
does.
You know, it's like a different type of, from my
Different
classes
teaching
I
style.
took,
Different
yeah,
teaching
from my
style.
AA.
Well, it's totally different than the American education system. Think about it. Our educational system teaches teachers to give detailed instructions and expect exactly this to come back. Here it is, spit it back out to me, okay. The world doesn't work that way. Instead, managers are going to turn to you and say, I need this soon. Click.
But isn't it like, I mean, y'all think about that, but isn't it like, me personally, I would prefer somebody to tell me, hey, this is what I need on such a day at such a time, opposed to
They don't have time
let
for
me
that.
guess about it and, well, see, I haven't worked with that.
They just need it. They don't care when they need it. They just need it.
They don't always know what they want.
Yeah.
Okay? And so they'll give you this stuff. And absolutely, in the real world, you're going to be looking for more direction.
Yes.
You're going to be coming back to them periodically with specific questions. And that's even going to help them many times clarify, oh, well, no, that's not what I meant. And that's fine. But think of yourself being turned loose and, in 48 hours, I need this to show to so-and-so. And you've got to do the very best you can, the most creative way you can, the best quality, highest standards you can. And that's how you make your reputation, is you kill it. You go way overboard. You make this thing look like it was produced by Disney. And then when the boss says, that's a hell of a presentation, how long did that take you? What's the right answer?
No time at all.
It took me a few days, boss. Had to learn a couple of things along the way, but it wasn't all that bad. Translation, I worked on this damn thing for 15 hours a day for 7 weeks. But I'm never going to let you know how hard I had to work for it. I want you to think that I can do this kind of stuff all the time. You give me the problem, I'll find a solution. You give me the task, I'll figure out a way to get it done. Okay? And so there's a continuum in there. No direction at all, or complete detailed directions. And you'll move back and forth on that spectrum. But I want you to start getting comfortable with very little direction. And therefore, do the very best you can. That's, in my experience, the people who moved up the ranks were the ones that could do that on their own. High initiative, high creativity, had a lot of resources to call on, contacting people saying, hey, do you know how to do this? Your classmates are a tremendous resource too. You use the discussion forum and say, hey, I'm getting ready to do my video, does anybody know how to do editing? And if you find 3 or 4 students that want to get together and one of them can help on that part, and one of them says, well, I got a camera, and one of them says, we could use my living room, it's got a really nice bookcase and stuff. Now you're managing. Now you're taking resources, putting them together and making it happen. Cool. What else? What time is it? Okay, we're doing okay. Anything else on your mind? That's the next competency that's due, is the video?
Video and resume cover letter.
And the resume and cover letter. Okay, a couple of words on resumes. We were talking about those earlier, right? You should be able to put together a one-page resume just in case. Some HR people, that's all they want to do. And all they're going to do is look at one page and make a decision. Follow up or not. Trash it or keep it and pursue it. You want that ready. But the other thing, that to me, if you're submitting one-page resumes, you might as well walk up and down the street with a sign that says, we'll work for food, okay? Because you're out there competing with thousands of other people, probably with an employer who doesn't know you from Adam's house cat. That's not the way you find a job. I also want you to create a longer resume, as many pages as you think is reasonably necessary, that shows good depth, so that if I were an HR director or a business owner, and one of my colleagues said, hey, Strickland, by the way, I've got this fellow or this lady that I know who's triple sharp, who might really fit in with your organization, and I happen to have a copy of her resume. Would you look it over for me? I could say, sure. And now this one better tell me lots about you. Everything you've done in good detail, perfectly printed, written, etc., showing problems you've solved, difficulties and challenges you've overcome. Okay? Your ability to work with and influence people, your ability to show initiative and take responsibility. This page, if it's 3 pages, it's 4 pages, by the time I read it, I shouldn't have too many questions, and I should have a real good idea on whether I want to talk to you. And it will also have, on that longer resume, it will have your references on it, not less than 3. So that if I think this is a really, really sharp sounding person, let me make a couple of phone calls before I waste time talking to him, okay? Bingo. Now, what do you do with your references before you ever put them on a resume? You talk to them. Talk to them and tell them, you know, here's what I'm doing. If you get a chance, maybe you could say something about the time I did such and such for you or whatever, okay? So they're anticipating the call and they speak highly of it. So that's the killer resume. The cover letter, what is a cover letter?
It introduces you.
Typically, it means you're sending this letter to someone frequently who's already you've had a contact with, and they said, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Send me your resume." The cover letter says more about you, and it goes on a 1-page as well as a multi-page, and it says, "Please consider me for this position for your company because I know about your company, I know what you do, I know all this about you, and here's the things I can do for your company, the value I will create, etc." And so the cover letter should be the hook, because it's the first thing they read. They should read the first paragraph of the cover letter and go, "Whoa, this sounds kind of interesting." Because after the first page of the cover letter and after the very first part at the top of your resume, one of 2 things happens. Either the hook goes in and they say, I'll keep reading, or they go, "I don't think so." And I'll tell you this, after examining hundreds and thousands of resumes, when I pick up a resume and there's a typo in it or a misspelling, I may not throw it away. I may set it over here. But that's in case I can't find anything else. Okay? Where are the best jobs? Where are they advertised?
They're not.
They're through word of mouth. Okay? So that perfect resume has got to be something that you've got available. Maybe you even have an account in LinkedIn and you post your resume there. And you keep it there. And maybe you carry a couple of 3 hard copies with you whenever you're traveling. So that if you run into somebody, you can say, here. Or, could I send you my resume? And you've got it stored where you can load it up, email it, and there you go. But it's got to be as perfect as you can make it, and it's got to be current. It's got to be constantly updated. Okay? So that whole competency, the video, the resume, the cover letter, how many hours do you think that's going to take? And when is that due?
The 24th. 2 weeks.
And when is the exam?
2 days later.
2 days later? Well, I think the video then is due also the same time as the final, because they're all due on Wednesdays, I think.
I was doing Monday, I think.
Everything was due on Monday.
Oh, that's right. The competencies are due Monday. You're right. And the exam is on Wednesday. So if you don't study for the exam at all and just work on the competency, you can have 2 days to study for the exam. That's called crisis management, right?
Yes, it is a crisis.
Think about what I'm asking you to do. Is it that difficult?
No.
It's time consuming, and you've got to be able to manage your time. Welcome to management. Most of the things are not that difficult, but you've got to be able to manage them. You've got to be able to control them. Okay? Thank you for your question. You really got me going. Yes, ma'am? You moved. This is an auction. I saw you move out of the corner of my eye. You must have
I
something.
had a question, but I'm gonna wait.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I might feel a little silly asking this, but
Silly questions are allowed in class.
yeah. Well, I'm not really sure how to print out the practice test. I went under the modules and I found it once and then I went back and I couldn't find it. So,
These are the multiple choice questions.
yeah, the ones that we're supposed to be starting from.
They are stored in the files as a .doc.
And it says
It's not in the
midterm.
modules.
Because I know I saw it once and then I tried to find it and I guess I went to the
When
other
you
one.
open the module and you find it, you can click on it and it will either open up in Canvas, or I think maybe if you double click or something like that, it opens up in Word and you can print that.
And what's the name of the file?
It's
I don't-
midterm bank 1 and 2. And then down
Midterm
at the
Test Bank 1
bottom,
and Test Bank 2.
You gotta do the study, there's some study questions.
And also study questions for the Caproni text, all 3 documents. If you continue to have trouble getting those printed, let me know,
Okay.
and we'll
'Cause
find a
I know
way.
I did found it once and then I didn't have the printer set up at that point so I couldn't print it out and then I told my boyfriend that he needed to print them out for me if he was going to go to the library and then he's like, well, write it and post it and then I started to write it. I'm like, Okay, just go. I'll figure it out.
Okay, so for the midterm,
Mhm.
we need to bring a
Scantron,
Antron and then.
8.5 by 11 Scantron, right? Not the little small thing, the full one.
Okay,
You'll put your multiple choice answers on there, and you bring notebook paper to do all your rest of your
and then
discussion.
for the study questions, like how we answer it, or do you want to say, do we have to answer it in, like for instance, how you said about the 7 habits, like you just want the list, or does it have to be in
I haven't
paragraph?
decided yet. I mean, it depends on the mood I'm in. I might say, list the 7 habits in order of importance to you. And explain why the first one is the most important. But most of you know the 7 habits. Okay? Cool. Don't look at me that way.
We don't have to do that 12-page question, do we?
The what?
That 12-page question.
What that was,
Remind me what that
routine.
is. Huh?
That was
Find
on
the
the-
key of happiness.
And
You haven't
Keep it to
already
12
written
pages,
that out?
smiley face.
No,
I keep mine to one drawing.
No, we're not doing drawings.
I have a picture.
Simple.
Picture isn't worth 1,000 words.
What is the definition of, how does the definition of happiness contrast with the definition of pleasure, contrast with the definition of success?
How many pages?
I still have.
I'd like 9 pages
I
on
was
that.
gonna say, like, how many do you want?
Pleasure is something that is enjoyable in the moment. Happiness is sometimes said to be recurring, pleasurable moments in life. And success is said to be recurring moments of happiness, or patterns of happiness. There's no real defined answer to that. That just might be something I'm throwing on there just to mess with you.
yeah.
There was a smiley face after.
Yeah. Anything else?
I missed tonight, you handed out the dice.
The who?
The
disc? The disc?
Yeah. But I looked it up online and did one.
Okay. And what was your personality type?
I think you described it as comatose.
Comatose? That's a new one, but okay.
But do you have the test, so I can see if what I did was
No, but
correct?
if you'll show me your general results, I can draw some conclusion. Pretty balanced.
They were all low, I thought.
Ideally, we would take this chart.
Yeah, I didn't know how to do that, but that's my
Yeah,
numbers.
it's hard to tell from here.
Okay.
But your D is the lowest, and your S is also pretty low. Your C is up here, and your I is up here. So your I is the most dominant, which tells me you're perhaps an extroverted sort of person that enjoys talking, enjoys being the focus of attention, maybe likes to entertain or tell jokes. You are perhaps a motivator or an inspirational sort of person to a lot of people. Probably high energy, enjoy social contact. And your second highest was the C, which means they're kind of opposites, but it means you pay particular attention to the way things are done, attention to detail, making sure things are done properly and correctly. In the housekeeping mode, this is a guy who lines up all his socks so they're all in right singing colors, folds his
I thought that
underwear.
was my military background.
Oh, yeah, right, it's not your fault, okay? But that's what I would conclude, is that you're probably a high I and a medium C type, IC personality. So your S score is fairly low and your D score is fairly low. So you're not apt to be real passive and let things happen. You tend to talk about it when things are not going well, or at least want to talk, get people to talk about it. Not very assertive, not domineering, or determinedly focused to the point that you hurt people's feelings along the way. That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, I'm just glad I wasn't a comatose. I thought
No,
my
not at
numbers
all,
were low.
not at all. Anybody else? And 2 weeks from tonight, is the exam. Okay. I will not give you the answers to the questions. Don't be writing me that.
Could we bring our notes?
Well, you can bring them, but you can't use them.
That was worth asking.
It was.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to announce it here.
Please.
People in the video care. We're gonna do, study groups. If anyone wants to join our study group, as in help us answer these questions, we really need someone to jump in on the, test bank chapter 1 through 4, number 41 through 90. We need that done.
That's
You need that done?
And if you're not coming with some answers, we're probably not gonna give you any answers. So if you could join in.
That's
a
reasonable.
test. That is the first test bank.
Gina. That was actually the second one.
No. We have someone for that one.
Oh, okay.
That one was mine, but I jumped on the other one.
Oh, yeah.
Are you meeting anywhere, or?
And then, sorry, Wednesday the 19th at 5:30, we're gonna meet here.
Wednesday the 19th at 5:30?
We're gonna meet here
Uh,
with,
That's a week from today? I have a class in here then.
well, I'm sorry, not
Meet out in
here,
the
we're gonna
lobby?
meet right out there with some pizza, or if you're offering your place, we'd love to go there. And then Monday the 24th at 6:30,
At 6:30.
we will go ahead, and that'll be hardcore study session, don't bring Facebook. At 6:30, we'll be meeting out there again with pizza, and if you wanna offer your place, we would prefer that.
But if you don't have a place, you'll meet just outside
We're
of
gonna
B12.
meet right outside here, and I'm gonna send out an email just with a document and everything. Not to be rude, but please don't come if you're empty-handed and just wanting to know what's gonna be on the test. It's not even gonna help you at that point on Monday. So definitely get in, dig your hands in, see what you can help us with. We'll help you scratch each other's backs, and we'll get this done.
Cool. No free riders.
Sounds good to me.
No.
Hey, there's no
It's
such
not
thing
gonna
as
help
free
you on
lunch.
Monday, to be honest. If you don't have anything by Monday, don't go. You probably won't learn much.
Good, good. You might post that to this discussion forum too, to see if anybody bites. Okay, good. Thank you, Jen. Anybody else?
Yeah, for us, Wednesday.
Well, it's been a lovely time.
Wednesday morning.
Absolutely.
Can you do by one?